Watch some more of this, get you back in a minute, but quickly, James has got something that might be as sharp or perhaps sharper than the teeth of this little hyena.
Every little dung pile, every tree, every piece of fallen wood is an ecosystem on its own. And look at this incredible thing that we have inside here. There's a scorpion. In Latin, it's called a Pisticanthus asper, or a bark scorpion. And there are termites crawling all over it, which seem to be being left unmolested. But if you look up here, Jean-Ray, there was something that wasn't left unmolested at all, and this was a cricket. You can see here the leg of the cricket that was devoured. John is just going to come around and show us here. Cricket that was devoured by the scorpion sometime during the night. And what they do is they've got these specialized hairs on the front of their pedipalps. The pedipalps are the basically the pincers, if you like. Hairs are called trichobothria, and I don't know why they're called that. It's just quite a nice word, trichobothria. And here you'll have a look. There. Right. Okay.
In for some suckling time, feeding time, normally followed again by some more playing time. And I love that. She does it all the time. You see how she's putting her front paw over the cub, almost to pull it in closer to her. Oh, you can see that there's a real sense of tenderness is the word that comes to mind all the time for me this morning. Closeness. Love. Well, I'm going to say a quick extra good morning because it is a lovely morning. And Lishan, hello. Awesome to have you. As always, on Drive, my wife, for those of you that don't know, has been part of this for a long time for me personally and for all of us as well. So fantastic to have you on Drive. And I must say I'm missing the kids a lot this morning looking at this. Our little son just started walking about 2 weeks ago, and I believe he's quite the sort of little operator. There's a spider web at home at the moment. So missing you guys a lot, especially looking at this little hyena, which I know you've enjoyed. Let's look at that. In fact, since we're looking at young animals, I can get away with going on about my family a little bit, but one of the things that Lishan has told me numerous times over the last week or two is that our son Ragnar, who's just over a year old now, he gets in the world, and I can say that from very personal experience, are loving this as well. So nice to have you guys with us, and I mean that all of you young people, anyone younger than 90, we need young people on the vehicle. We need old people as well, everyone older than 90. Great to have you with us as well. We need the experience on the vehicle. And this, unfortunately, it's a little bit overcast, but you can see the yellow color on it. Masked weaver. Very famous birds, or well-known birds in terms of African stories and bird culture, or birding sort of things people hope to see. Oh, okay, that nest has got a female inside. That's very exciting. The male has built the nest. He uses that bright green background of the fresh nest to display his bright yellow colors against. There you can see this nest is already probably maybe 2 days old, and the female just flew in there with a little bit of, there's the female on it now. And she brought some soft grass I could see in the beak, so she's busy lining the inside side of the nest. So this one has worked out. The nest worked, male attracted a female, she's going to nest there, and once that is settled in and she's moved in, they'll start to build another nest again. In fact, it's just starting there. So guys, the hyena's just sleeping at the moment. We'll get back to them if they move. But that twig that's to the left of that nest, we'll see when he comes back. But he's busy cleaning the leaves off that branch to make the smaller cat species, things that would have been a threat to those nests potentially. They're not going to be a bother to this nest because she's got hyena at the bottom. Well, they're not doing too much. In fact, having a sleep. And we're going to go over to Hayden for a bit. If anything changes or if she sees everything when she looks up like that, we'll get you back here.
Well, there hasn't been a great deal of action here, folks. We had a bit of a rollover. The individual closest to us rolled over and put his feet on his potential brother. I'm not sure, we're still not sure, but if it is his brother, they're fantastic. They just crashed out right near us, about 10 feet away from us, 2-3 meters maybe at the most. And they are doing what lions do best at this time of the day, and that's sleep. About 20 hours a day they sleep. But an interesting thing is, you know, lions will, as all the predators are, opportunists. If something was to walk onto them, they would definitely take that opportunity and potentially utilize that situation to gather some food and gorge themselves and then sleep some more. Their bellies aren't super full, but they definitely look like they've had a feed either yesterday or I don't think last night. It's just a little bit too low. So I just wanted to give you a quick look. Tebs is going to have a zoom in on that back foot for you, and just have a look there. You can see a little bit of definition there. It's much easier to see on the front foot if he puts that paw up on the other side. But just whilst we're doing that, if Tebs will just swing around, I just want to show you something here on the iPad. And it's a really good little thing to have. It's just silhouettes of the two different prints. This is a leopard track on the left here and a lion track on the right. Okay, very good to distinguish the difference between both. Now, if you come in a little bit closer, Tebs, for me, I'll just show all our wonderful people that are with us the difference here. There's a very distinct sort of wave or double way, and the distance between this pad and the four pads there is also a little bit greater. So that's a really good way to see when you're looking at lion tracks. They are considerably larger than leopard tracks, but sometimes if you haven't seen a leopard track, you don't really know what to compare it to. So it's a really great thing to have these silhouettes sometimes on apps or in your books. I carry the iPad with me and my phone. I've got books as well, but it's really important to take those ID books out with you, and there's loads and loads of different apps you can get. Another really great thing is if you want to get your children into it, which I think is an incredibly important thing, my little quest is Operation Wild Child. If you can try and do a wild thing every day for a month with your kids, you're on a winner there, because they'll start to get their connection with nature. But you know what I always say, if you've got a problem with kids being connected or too connected with their technology, take the technology outside. Get some apps on it for them. They can ID plants or trees or birds or insects or reptiles or animals, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as there's some form of factor, fun factor for them that connects their world with this world. You've got to remember that we are not going to change their world. All we've got to do is try and be smart about it and connect our kids with the natural world using their technologies. So it's a great thing. There's loads of apps that are out there, lots of them are for free as well. You can see me waving this around too. There's a great little story behind this. The lucky porcupine quill came out, and this has brought us quite a lot of luck, this thing. I gave it a bit of a rub yesterday for the simple reason that I was hoping that we would, it's just a bit of fun really, but I found this years back, a year ago, Big Cat Week, and it was the thing that gave us we all used to play a bit with it and give it a bit of a rub before we drive out. Well, I brought it out yesterday and we certainly had leopard luck, and we've had lions this morning. So the quill is back, the lucky porcupine quill, and we're sitting with some flat cats at the moment. If we just go back and have a look at them now, you can see the muscularity down the back, and we'll just sort of look at the physiology. I've got pretty scrappy comms down here, communication with final control. Unfortunately, I'm sitting in a little low patch and I can hear questions come through to me, so please excuse me folks if I do pronounce the name wrong. I think it's Bryce and sleeping, because they just gorge themselves and digest, and they'll do that to conserve energy out of that 24-hour period, and they normally become active in sort of late afternoon. But as I said before, not always. Anything that presents themselves to the lions in an opportunity, they will take it up. They'll definitely take it up. Elephants are just over to our sort of about 200 meters to our left here, and we've heard them sort of feeding through there. They're the elephants that we came past as we were arriving at this lion sighting, but the lions don't seem too worried about that at the moment. They're well off, and that we can hear the cracking of branches in the bush. But Bryce, really it's about sort of 18 to 20 hours a day of resting, and that will all depend on food availability. Now when there's not as much food availability, they'll probably spend more time hunting and trying to find food, and that again will depend on the heat of the day. If it's not a very hot day, you'll find lions more active, as you will find with leopard, and we've seen that over the past days. It is definitely all about the heat and conserving their energy. Digesting massive amounts of protein takes a lot of energy, and they will just probably be here until this afternoon. So I'm sure Peter and James will come out this afternoon and come down and see what these guys are up to. I would love it to hear that the other brother or the other member of the coalition comes and joins them. It would be brilliant, but we'll just wait and see on that. So just looking at this physiology. Thanks Bryce for your question. Great to have you on board, by the way, mate. Really appreciate you joining us and being with us on Safari Live. And remember folks, if you want to interact with us and ask us a question, hashtag Safari Live, and you can send us an email at questions@wildearth.tv, and we'll answer as many of them as we possibly can. So if we're lying here looking, I'll just get Tebs to come down to that. There's a really great muscular area at the lower back of that line with his back to us there. You can see that huge muscle there. If we just go up along the body, you'll see that beautiful muscularity on the lion's body, and these boys are coming into their sort of prime. They're probably about 5, just over 5, 6 years old, maybe 5.5 years old now, and they'll be moving into their really peak physical state in the sort of coming year or so, and they get up to weights that are quite incredible to be around. Now the average weights are really all about sort of around 190 kilograms, which if I can do my maths here, let's go for about 560, 570 pounds. I'm having a rough estimate on for a male. But there's a record, I think there's a record, an old record in Namibia. I'm not sure whether that's been broken at this point, but I think he weighed, about 260 kilograms or something like that. Goodness me, which is, wow, 260, probably well up around over 600 pounds, well over 600 pounds. So extraordinary size for those animals. Lovely question from Carolyn in Chicago. Welcome aboard, Carolyn. I love your place where you live, Chicago. It's a wonderful. Your question, and your question actually could. Wow, here we go. A little bit of action. Maybe it's getting too hot for him just there. He may be moving into a shadier spot, or he may be going off to. No, he's just finding a shadier spot. So Caroline, your question, as I said, welcome aboard, great to have you with us, is if the other Birmingham boy, the other member of the coalition arrives or comes back, will the greeting be civil, or will it be a little bit fractious? Well, I'm pretty guaranteed that it would be civil. My guess is that they are brothers. I'm still unsure, and we don't have accounts of whether these are all related males. It usually is adolescents that have been pushed out of the pushed out of the pride at a certain age, when they've become a little bit difficult for the other male or slash. The first time he shake his head after every roar, which I'm gathering just on an interpretation of that behaviour was that it was hurting him. That massive roar would be sending quite serious vibrations through and maybe hurting or aggravating that wound. But yeah, the other day when he did roar with Peter, when Peter's perseverance and patience was so fantastic, and he got that roar right at the end of the show, it was just, he didn't shake his head. So I'm hoping that wound is healing. They have an incredible ability to bounce back, but obviously some individuals will get an infection, and unfortunately those wounds can be fatal. But I really do hope he's okay, and back in Big Cat Week last year. Caroline, thanks so much for your question. To 6, there's definitely been reports of larger ones, but it becomes so unstable, or so it becomes just too It's too fractious, there's too much tension, and it really does become a problem. So the biggest one I've seen was in Tanzania, and it was 6 males. They had a pride of another 15 females with them, so it was quite extraordinary, and that was the biggest I've ever seen. Thank you so much for your question. Heavy Ground, how are you, mate? Great to see you. A skilled hunter can take down a buffalo, particularly a big bull. They normally choose individuals. Then up in Tanzania again, strangely enough, which was probably the first hunt that I've ever seen on an adult male buffalo. It was an incredibly dangerous thing for them to do, but one of the things that you bring in the heavyweights, the males are a huge force in that. If they do have a coalition of males, they become extraordinary hunters at hunting buffalo and bigger prey. Because of their sheer weight, the females will either corner the buffalo or single it out. The males will also come in. It's not necessarily true that it's just the females that do the hunting. Males play a huge role in it as well. But skilled buffalo hunters, it is definitely at the top of the menu for lions. It's such a beautiful big feed for a lion. Coalition, so they will be skillful about it. They normally pick individuals that they can manage, but if push comes to shove, they would even take down a young giraffe. So that's definitely up on the menu as well. I'm going to cross to Peter now. Sorry to talk about giraffe on the menu, but he actually does have something to show you along those lines. All right, we'll see you just now.
Leopard still from this morning, so I'm just listening to the radio. They had 1 or 2 alarm calls, but I think Brent's saying to the guys it might have been from their movements. This is the road going towards Voitila Lodge, and let's say hello to this guy quickly. He's got a great smile usually. Isaac, how are you for? All good? From Mawini? Okay, you must probably English somewhere. I've known Isaac for 14 years, something like that. Great guy. And James got something which is always special to see, if I understood it correctly, and something you don't very often see in the daytime or on foot. So enjoy it.
Now just listen, everybody. Around here there are alarm calls. There is a grey go-away bird going wah! Morning. A giant eagle owl. You can hear the dwarf mongoose are also alarm calling underneath him, going tick-a-tick-a-tee, tick-a-tick-a-tee, tick-a-tick-a-tee. Isn't that amazing? And he's flown all the way up this kind of drainage line that we've been following, and we followed the alarm the whole way. The drongos were going, the starlings were going, the babblers, and then the hornbills. And now he's sat up in that huge knobthorn tree where he thinks we can't see him, but we can. Now we're going to try and sneak a little bit closer and see if we can't get a better look. Come, Gendre, let us creep like leopards. So he's been flying away from us every time we've horse is blessed with feet the size of, well, clown's feet, I suppose. This is a very special owl. To be seeing this on foot is just fantastic. We do sometimes see them in the vehicles, but they're not common at all. There was another little owl calling off to the right-hand side of your screen. A pearl spotted owl. A tiny little thing. The smallest owl that we get here. I think he's going to fly soon. We're going to try and break cover out of the cover of this tree and see what he does. This is what's so great about being on foot. To try and understand how it must be if you're a predator. To walk carefully so that animals don't see you or perceive you as a threat. But we really are not used to that from our city lives. We're not used to moving quietly like this, watching every footfall, smelling every smell. It's difficult for a four. There he goes. There he goes. Oh, that's just fantastic. So it would be completely silent flight. They don't have the same kind of barbs on the feather filaments that many other birds do, and so the air passes straight through the filaments of their feathers, so they're not nearly as strong flyers as, say, some of the eagles are, and that means that at night time, when their prey are listening out, the little rodents that run around in the bush, they can't hear when the owl's coming. Of course, you've all heard birds taking off and that sound that they make. Owls don't make that sound. It's very silent flight, so much slower, much more deliberate, much more difficult. You saw that heavy bird struggling to get height because the air going straight through the wings, but just means that they can move totally silently at night. Is the most fantastic thing. Right, let's carry on. So we're heading up now towards an area where we had Djuma on a kill a few days ago. We didn't find his tracks going out of the reserve, so where he went I really couldn't tell you. But we've just been spending a bit of time around here trying to see if we can't find some tracks. Perhaps he's made another kill and just dangled it in a tree, which would be wonderful. And Djuma, for those of you who don't know, is a 3-year-old who is about to have his 3rd birthday, and he's the son of the leopard that Peter was looking for earlier today, Mvula. He of the rain, as Mvula is called. Right, let's go this way. Thank you, Damon and Canvas, for your comment. You're quoting Noel Coward there. Only, what is it? How does the quote go? Only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Well, yes, in this particular case that is exactly what happens. And you want to know what we do with tortoises when they get hot. We don't do anything with tortoises. The tortoises are amazingly adapted to surviving in very dry conditions. Obviously, they're not designed to migrate very far, and so they have to retain water. They hold water within them. And so what we don't do when it's hot and there's no water around is pick them up, because one of their defensive strategies, and this is the same for many animals out here, both invertebrates and vertebrates, is that they will void their bowels. They basically open their cloacas and they will void their bowels, urinate and defecate immediately in order to dissuade the predator. And what that does is that it makes them lose water, and so they can dehydrate quite fast if it's very hot. So that's what we do with the tortoises. Thank you for that, David. And yes, Lynn, absolutely. If there was a tortoise on its back, I mean, I know we talk about not or trying. Sure, ooh, there's a nyala. Look, Chandray, there's a nyala bull. Away at the ticks. It's lovely to see them there, and they're totally relaxed around us. We've seen a couple of nyala cows in the thick bush, and they haven't been upset about seeing us at all. Now, before I hand you back to those flat cats, as it were, I can hear a woodpecker in this tree. Let's see if we can find him quickly. Then I'll hand you back to Hayden and the lions. Chandray, he's up in this marula tree here. I can just hear the tap tap tapping. We'll see if we can find him. We'll spend a minute or so doing it, and I'll send you back to those big cats for Big Cat Week. So there are lots and lots of sort of hollow branches and things on this tree. I'm sure the woodpecker is frolicking about in there, trying to find insects, various grubs and insect larvae, beetle larvae. But I don't see him. Well, we'll keep looking for him. And in the meantime, let's go back across to Hayden and his lions. We'll look for the woodpecker. And whatever else we can find here on foot. It's just so great to be on foot. See you just now.
And you'll probably just go back down again. There hasn't been a lot of movement here, but the temperature is rising rapidly. We're starting to get very, very steamy temperature now. The sun has broken through the cloud, and one of the individuals has moved off to a shadier area under a tree, and this boy here is just grooming himself a little bit. That mane will still get a bit bigger than that. By the time he's about 6 or 7, it'll probably be in all its glory. You see this similar traits. If you've got cats at home, folks, you'll see similar traits with these massive, wild, big cats that you might see in your own domestic cat. Licking themselves to clean themselves. Very particular about how they look after themselves. But these guys do have a few battle scars on their faces, probably in clashes that they've had with other individuals, and basically taking over this area. These Birmingham boys are here to stay. They pushed out the Matimba males, and they're definitely here to stay. The sun is penetrating now. We haven't even had to go off-road. The lines are right close to the road. Look at that beautiful tongue. Super. Grooming and cleaning. A rough tongue, exactly like your cat's tongue if you own a cat. Very, very rough and abrasive. Perfect for getting rid of any parasites or Just a general clean. So yeah, we've got beautiful birds, Cape Turtle Dove, and loads of other different birds. It might be a little bit tricky to pick up on the microphone. You definitely hear Cape Turtle Dove. You can hear Franklin off in the distance as well. We've got a question from Damon about whether the Birmingham boys are all brothers or are they just from the same pride. Damon, lovely to have you on board, mate, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's very, very hard to say because I have to go back and try and get that information from the first place that these boys were originated and what pride they're from. It goes back so far that it might be related males. It normally is related males from the same litter. One can't really guarantee that. The numbers are around sort of two to three cubs normally survive. There's so many external contributing factors on that as well, but it's normally sort of two. Sorry, it's just a vehicle starting up there, guys. I'll just wait until he moves away. So I can't really give you an exact answer other than it's more than likely they are related males from the same pride, normally pushed out of the pride during their adolescence. So thank you for your question, Damon, and we're pretty sure that they are related males from the same pride. A few of them might be brothers from the same litter, because there is a couple that are just a little bit younger, but that's not to say that a female in the same pride had a litter very, very similarly aged, and they could be cousins. 3 could be brothers and 2 could be cousins of theirs. It really just does depend, but we're really sure, pretty 95% certain that they are from the same pride. Thanks for your question. So he's grooming away at the moment. He may reposition himself as well. He's got his back to us. I'm hesitant to move our vehicle just because it's such a serene environment at the moment. I don't really want to disturb him. They've been very, very tolerant of letting us sit here with them. So I think we just stay put and let him dictate the moves. A lovely question from Wilma. Welcome aboard, Wilma. Your question is, does a lion's mane go grey as they get older? Well, unlike my good self, they don't. I've gone definitely grey with age. I'm sporting the old badger look these days, and the lion's mane doesn't go grey. They'll get, if anything, they may go a little bit darker, but it just depends on the genetic line that these animals have come through. We sort of touched on it earlier in the safari, but it's kind of along the lines that if there's a general sort of gene in the area of light-coloured manes, you'll probably find that'll carry on until you get a gene that comes in with a dark mane, which will then be a sort of mix of that. But I've seen everything from very, very black dark manes, not entirely black, but tawny colour, very, very individuals. They've been right to really blonde ones that like we've got with us now. So it just depends on the area, the geographical constraints that the animals have, whether it be in a particular region, and that's probably the characteristics or the governing factors over that. But I've never seen a lion's mane go grey, as I said, unlike my good self. Thank you, Wilma, for your question. I'm just going to roll down a little bit. So Tebs can get a little bit better angle. So we just moved down, just manners, just to ask if it's alright with everyone, just to get you a little bit better an angle and see the beautiful backlit mane and this individual just looking after himself. And as I said, everyone, urge you to take some screenshots and as I said, I urge you to take some screenshots and post them wherever you like to post things. It's great for us to see your interpretation and things that you find really lovely about these beautiful animals. I'm just going to take a couple of shots now, if it's okay, so you might hear me click away. Beautiful light on his mane there. We've got a question from Matthew in Los Angeles. Matthew, welcome aboard. Great to have you with us this morning. And your question is, do lions ever regurgitate their food for their cubs if the kill's a long way from their cubs? The answer to that is no, they don't. They'll normally the mother will be feeding them with milk until they're big enough to travel, and then she will either go and get the cubs and bring them to the kill, or that she will kill close by to them, but they don't have the same behaviour as wild dog. African wild dog, they definitely gorge themselves and then pretty much sleep most of the day. So very, very different from African wild dogs. But the mother will spend a fair bit of time making sure that the cubs get the opportunity to learn how to hunt, learn how to eat. As they get big enough, she'll start to come out of hiding and bring them down towards kills and things like that too. But it's only when they start eating meat. The interesting thing there is also they are very vulnerable, hugely vulnerable to other predators when they're young. So they have to be very careful, and not necessarily just other predators. It might be another coalition of males, and that brings me on to a subject that is not wonderful to think about or even see, but it does happen, and it's part of nature, and that's called infanticide. Now, if another male taking over, so it does happen, but generally infanticide will occur, and that is the complete wipeout or deletion, I suppose is another word, of that genetic line, and that will allow the successful male, the stronger male, to sire the next litter, and that will make the females also come into estrus, come into mating season very, very quickly. Sometimes they come into a false estrus, but a lot of the time they just come into estrus soon thereafter, and he will mate with them, and then his line will be successful, and they will have her cubs. They will have his cubs. So thank you for your question, mate. Great to hear you're watching, and lions do not regurgitate their food. The only time I've ever seen a lion regurgitate some of its food was it actually had a bone stuck. It was chewing bone, and it was coughing and coughing, and it brought up some food when it did try and get that bone out. But that's the only time I've ever seen that. He's definitely got something bugging him on that paw, and he's using those closely aligned incisors, which are the teeth in between his two big canines, and he can grab them together like tweezers, and he can try and get whatever it is out. He might have a thorn in his foot. The other individual over the other side there has woken up as well. So just coming back to that one that's licking his foot, he's using his incisors, as I was saying, to try and get something out of his paw there. Both of them are starting to groom now. Very, very peaceful here, folks. There's just one other vehicle and us, and the sounds of the African bush, and you're on Safari Live. Believe it or not, this is coming to you live from Africa. A lot of people during Big Cat Week and those primetime shows we did on Nat.Geo Wild didn't believe that it was wild, and we really, really had to convince people it was live. This is live, and it's an extraordinary thing to be a part of. You are with on the vehicle right here, right now, with these two beautiful lions, part of a coalition of 5 males called the Birmingham Boys, and they are only about 10 to 12 feet away from us, about 4 meters. So, you know, we talk about the big predators all the time, and they are beautiful, there's no doubt about it, but as I always say, the small things matter too. The small things matter so much. They really do, and there's no better place to see them than on bushwalk. And boy, do the guys on bushwalk deliver. Things that just fascinate you no end. Let's cross over to James and see what he's got for us.
Everyone, we're sitting here with a dung beetle rolling his or her ball, probably a her, and just watch carefully. When she loses orientation, she'll climb up onto the top of the ball, orientate probably with the sun, and then continue in the same way. Look at that. On top, turns around, finds out where she is, and starts moving. Now, pound for pound, some of the dung beetle species are the strongest animals in the world. They can lift, excuse me, up to 1,441, I think is the figure, times their body weight. That's like you or me lifting up 80 tons. Okay, that's, what's that? That's probably about 50 school buses. It's quite impressive. So she's laid an egg in there, everybody, and we often see them rolling the balls, but you seldom see where they're actually taking them. Oh, this is just too special. Oh, wow. Look at her. She's digging her little... I'm sure she would have pre-prepared this hole. That's why she knew where to go. She had to orientate herself. She knew where to roll this ball. Who knows how far she's done it. So she'll bury it under the leaf litter there, probably in some soil as well. Alright, let's go back to the lions with Hayden. We'll stick around with this dung beetle for a little while and see what happens with her.
So there's some lovely interaction going on here now. The one of the males just walked over to the other one, and we noticed as he walked over, just as we chopped over to bushwalk, he stood up. The one that's got his head down on the ground, he's just got a very, very bad limp. You know how I was saying that he was licking that paw? I thought he might have had a thorn in it or something. He was very, very lame. So there was definitely something very, very wrong with his left front paw, and I'm really concerned that that's going to be slowing them down. That's one of the reasons they're probably not on the move and trying to relocate their other members of their coalition. But he's just laid down flat on his side, but it took him about, 30-40 seconds to walk over to that spot that he's in now. So we might reposition, folks, and just see where this individual's going. So just bear with me for a second, Tebs. I'm going to just start up and repo. Reposition. We stayed there for the simple reason I didn't make too many moves. We had other vehicles around us, so there's a huge amount of respect and ethics involved. You know, you want to make sure you don't disturb the animals first and foremost. Animals always come first, and then other guests and other individuals are just as important. So we'll just go up and see this boy here. He's just laid down. Again, he's laid down in some really lovely shade here. Hello, my boy. Very, very hot now, fella, isn't it? I'm just going to reposition for you, Tebs. Let's watch your back there. Hey, my boy. Very, 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 very hot. Is that good for you, Tebs? So we'll just go across to Pete for an update whilst we've just got this guy here now, and we'll come back to you as soon as there's any movement.
Well, at least the lion was moving a little bit, and we've been doing a bit of moving around this general area. As I said, we're looking for a leopard. We had the tracks, Brent and them are following him, Ephraim was helping as well. Somehow seems that when we were looking at that giraffe earlier, when you were sitting with us, during that time, or in the sort of 10 minutes after that, that leopard actually crossed the road very close to where we were then, and he's now crossed even further west into a neighboring area, Simbambili, where we can't drive. So it seems the leopard has moved into an area for now that we can't follow, but no problem. We're going to be heading towards Buffelshoek. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a bump. We have about 25 minutes left of the drive, so if you want to go out to Buffelshoek Dam, that's where we had Vula last night, the other male. Again, he probably would have moved, but that warthol is always a good one to check. So we're going to make our way there, see if we can find and see what this last part of the sunrise safari has in store for us. Animals. I always say probably right at the top would be humans. I like humans, they're fascinating. I speak one or two of their languages, so that helps as well. And humans in sort of these kind of surroundings are very interesting to me. How they enjoy it, how they interpret it, how they appreciate it. In terms of the wild animals, my daughter on a pretty good day is pretty wild, but let's get off the human subject. I know what you're referring to, the four-legged kinds. Leopard, I like leopard a lot. Huge fan of leopard. I haven't seen gorillas in the wild. I really hope to do so. In fact, I'd love to go there live and take you guys along. I think I might even be speechless for a little while. Gorillas would be amazing. Any of the big predators, obviously lion, bears. I would love to spend time with bears, grizzly bears especially. They seem absolutely fascinating. Tigers, really want to see tigers. Polar bears would be amazing. Many animals would make it into my favorite list. In fact, I would say probably most of them at some stage or another could be a favorite. But certainly in this area, the animal that I always want to see, always happy when I see one, are the leopard. Absolutely magical. Guys, we're just coming up to one of the boundaries here. There you can see the sign for one of the lodges to the north. We are heading straight east towards Buffelshoek Dam. We will be there before the end of drive. Maybe there's some interesting activity with the water getting so low and all the fish there. But James has got something very interesting is the word we use too often. Very interesting. Enjoy it.
Everybody, the smell coming off this deceased giant plated lizard is quite appalling. There are ants in it, there are blowflies in it. How it died, we're not really sure. We found it next to, I think, what was at home, a termite mound just over there. Probably dragged out perhaps by a bird that was then disturbed before it could finish it. But this plated lizard is well dead. Jean-Andre, how would you describe the smell? Yeah, Jean-Andre can't actually open his mouth for fear of being sick. It really is quite disgusting, but you can see an amazing detail on the giant plated lizard's scales. And I mean, they're very quick things, these. It's not easy to catch them, and they eat a lot in the way of termites and other invertebrates and that sort of thing. Interesting colors. Very beautiful if you happen to be a herpetologist. Right, now, once we've got rid of that, very disgusting. What we did find was this beautiful flower, whose name I do not know, but what it smells like. It's candy floss. I don't know if you remember that cotton candy, I think you call it in the States, cotton candy at the fairground, and that's what it smells like. It is the most delicious smell you can imagine. You can see the anthers holding the pollen, lovely yellow color, beautiful pink color of the stalks holding the anthers, whose name I temporarily forget, and then inside will be the female parts of the flower where the pollen will eventually go and they'll make new seeds so that next season there can be more of these beautiful flowers. Oh, they smell just delightful. After that plated lizard, this is really quite special. Right, let us carry on through here. We're walking through some fairly thick bush, so we need to be fairly quiet and just walk gently, keeping an eye all the time and listening out for oxpeckers. Oxpeckers are the birds that eat the ticks off the backs of animals, and if we don't listen out for them, we could find ourselves walking into a buffalo or something like that. Could be an impala or nyala as well, but we do walk very carefully through here, listening all the time. Like I say, just a very special day to be on foot. It's not too hot, but it's warming up nicely, and the birds are calling, and it's just a wonderful atmosphere around the place. And as it gets warmer, you might be able to hear the cicadas starting up. Wonderful. They're my favorite summer insect. Makes me think of Christmas holidays. And I'm sure in the US and in fact the whole of the northern hemisphere, the thought of a hot Christmas to you is almost kind of, it's anathema. It really must sound very strange indeed. But for us, the height of the summer, of course, is Christmas. And we can't imagine having a cold and snowy one, despite the fact that the commercials that we have out here and all the shops that we have advertise as snowmen snowmen and reindeer and that sort of thing. And obviously it's ridiculous in Africa because we don't really have cold Christmases at all. You can see the elephants have come through here and they've made the most tremendous mess. They've broken off these trees, they've chewed off the branches, they've pushed over that knobthorn tree there, I think it is. And to try and get a car through here, I mean, you've seen that we drive off-road a bit. To try and drive through where an elephant herd has had their brunch is extremely difficult. But the elephants, and while they do this, it looks quite damaging. And it is quite damaging to the trees. Some of them die. This knobthorn tree here is dead. Some of them don't die. A lot of the combretum trees are able to survive being pushed over, as are the marulas. But this knobthorn tree, while it's recently been pushed over, will eventually form an entirely new ecosystem of termites. There'll be scorpions living under the bark. There'll be wood-boring beetles going into the wood. There'll be fungus eating out the wood. And you'll find all sorts of other little things. Maybe a bird will come and make a nest in here at some stage. I suspect the termites from this termite mound here will come and chew away at the dead wood. So everything is used and everything is a little micro ecosystem wherever you look. Ooh, Gendre, the little grasshopper. I'm not going to get in too close. I'll point where my shadow is. You see the shadow of the stick? There, with the tip of the shadow of the stick is where the grasshopper is. You got him. Right, that's the grasshopper. Now what I'm going to do, everybody, this grasshopper's got something called aposematic coloration. And what it does is it creates a, it'll flash red when we see it. And that red is kind of a warning to predators that they're toxic. It's also, it will probably give predators a fright. Now watch, I'm going to startle it. Chandra, go a little bit wider maybe and you'll get a flash of red as I move closer to the grasshopper. Just around this termite mound here, I'm just going to walk very carefully over here. Now one doesn't want to get too close to here. Alright, here we go. So Chandra, if you wouldn't mind coming around here. We talk about aardvark or aardvark often. They're those long sort of, how to describe them, long-nosed ant-eating animals with very little hair on them. They're very muscular. They've got huge claws on them, and they're one of the only animals that are able to dig out the holes like this. And you watch that termite mound with the hyenas on it that Peter was with earlier today. That would have been opened up by an aardvark originally, and this is what the burrows that they open up look like. And then of course hyenas will go into them, and wild dogs will go into them, and warthogs, all sorts of other things will live inside the mounds, but only once they've been opened up by the aardvark. So Marco, you want to know if there's anything on my bucket list that I would like to see while out here or in the wild. Certainly I'd like to see a tiger in the wild. I would also love to see wolves in the wild. So if I ever go to North America again, hopefully I'll be able to see some of the wolves in Yellowstone. That would be great. Okay, I think Chandra and I are going to sign off here before we get him entangled in all the trees here. Thank you very much for your questions and coming along on this immersive bush experience here. It was just very special to be on foot this morning. I'm going to be on foot again this afternoon with Chandra at 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, so please join us then. We will be live on the TV, of course, which is very exciting indeed. Thank you to the final control, and we'll hand you across to Peter, who's at Buffelshoek Dam. See you this afternoon. Bye-bye.
Well, this is the perfect scene to arrive with at Buffelshoek Dam, because Buffelshoek Dam, if you translate the name directly, Buffelshoek, from the Afrikaans name, would translate into Buffalo Corner. And that's what we've got here. Bunch of buffalo, beautiful bull there. It's actually a bachelor group, all males. And by the look of it, looks like they're going to spend most of the day here. Good water to drink, more importantly. Nice mud, nice water to stay cool in. There's one just getting up. Now looking at the mud and the water just further to the right, We were at this dam yesterday afternoon, early evening. We were sitting here with Mvula, the leopard. And if you look here just to the right, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hippos by the looks of it. And a marabou stork, the tall bird in the back. They're here to catch the fish. The hippos are here to try and stay cool in what's the last remaining water and mud of this waterhole. And I must say, for the hippos to an extent, but mainly for the fish, I do really hope that we get a good downpour somewhere in the next week or so before this water is gone. The catfish can burrow themselves into the mud and survive that way, but these fish, the tilapia, they can't. So if the water is gone, they've got a problem. Bless you.
Excuse me, thanks.
Typically, hippos want to do this in the day, stay nice and cool in the water, in the mud, and they come out at night. Hippos are grazers, so you can compare them to zebra, horses if you want, buffalo, eat grass, but they do so at night mainly. You can see by just the movement around the hippos there, it's not really water anymore that they're in, it's more mud that they're in now. Happy hippos though. And the sun has come out beautifully now. You can see it just in the light. Very bright. Also nice and warm. Hey, vivid monkey with a tiny baby. It's a bit far to see the details, but she's carrying a very small baby under her belly. It's called a vervet monkey. Marco, hello, welcome on Drive. You're just asking any more animals on my bucket list. I have a big bucket list. There's a lot of places and things to see in the world. And I've been fortunate enough to have seen a bunch of them, but at the same time, I'm not as well traveled as some, for instance, compared to, for instance, Hayden, that's been to so many different places. But certainly, just quick thought, tiger, gorillas, polar bear, grizzly bear, the big things. And then, Marco, for me, also a large part of this experience is the habitats, the places you see. So I would love to see big national parks in America, the wild wilderness areas of Norway, Asia, northern Russia, the Yucatan Peninsula. All these different areas, Antarctica, the penguins. So it's the wildlife, but it's also places where you still find iconic wildlife. Would very often be places that are iconically beautiful as well, just in the sense of the wilderness that they are in. Just move a little bit. We're sitting on this side. I want to go sit on the other side of the waterhole. Get a bit of shade and just keep an eye out here. It's getting very hot now, so other animals might be arriving here as well. It would be great. Only got a few minutes left, but not impossible that some elephants might arrive here. I think we're just going to spend some time around the waterhole here until the end of drive. See what else pops out. We might have a little bit of breakup here from the broadcast point of view, just going through the dip, so just hold on if it does. asking how long can a, let's try and get the leveler, there we go. How long can a hippo hold his breath? 7-8 minutes if they want to, but typically they go under the water for anything from about 20 seconds to about a minute. It's only if something really sort of bothers them or stresses them that that they will hold their breath for longer. Beautiful view there. You can see all the animals together. The hippos, the marabou stalk in the foreground, busy grooming itself or preening. And as I said, those buffalo, I would guess, would actually be here till this afternoon. They've got nice mud to lie around in, so they'll just be taking it easy, enjoying a bit of a wallow. Well, on that note, from Buffelshoek Dam, it's been a beautiful morning. Thank you as always for joining us. And for the last few minutes of the game drive, you're going to join Hayden Turner. He's loving being out in the drive as well. I know he was looking forward to it. Please say hi to him from me, and we'll see you this afternoon. Bye-bye.
Well, our boys haven't done a great deal, folks. They've just gotten into the shade. The sun has definitely broken through and burnt off that cloud. When we did see that individual, we just had the camera on there, walk across to his brother or member of his coalition. He had a seriously lame front left foot, and he was licking that constantly before. Remember, we were talking about he was trying to use his incisors, these ones in the front, closely put together, to try and pull out a thorn or something on his foot. So he's in a little bit of distress there, not able to put much weight on it at all. We'll keep a good eye on that, and Peter and James will pick up on that this afternoon. Just got a question from Marco in New Jersey, and I think Peter and James have also answered it about what animals are on my bucket list or our bucket lists. One definitely for me would be lynx. I'd love to see a lynx. I'd also love to see grey wolves, particularly I'd love to go to North America and see a lot of the wildlife there. That I've been to North America loads and worked there, but I haven't done a lot of wildlife work there. I would definitely like to see a blue whale. Not much to ask, is it? I'd love to see a blue whale. I'd really love to see a lot of the cetaceans, the whales. I've never seen a killer whale in the wild either, an orca. So I'd love to see a lot of the whales. That would be fantastic. On the predator side of things, when I went to South America, we went out looking for jaguar, but alas, still haven't seen one in the wild. And there's a lot of antelope that I'd like to see as well. I'd like to see wild Bactrian camels as well. In Mongolia is one of my dreams, to do a trek through there. So there's loads of things, Marco. I could probably name something on every continent. Leopard seals in Antarctica, polar bears I still haven't seen in the wild. So there's loads of things, but really great question to ask us and to get a little bit more insight about the globe as a whole. Well, it's been great to be in the vehicle today and driving around, even though we were static a lot of the time with these lines. I didn't really want to leave them just in case they did move on, or particularly that other male from the coalition came back, because that would have been a really beautiful piece of interaction to watch. And it's just about patience. It's just about hanging out with these creatures, and what a privilege it is to be in the presence of these creatures, just for the toleration of them. We're only 10 feet away from them, and they must, and I'm talking quite at quite a level. They're not disturbed whatsoever. They're comfortable with our voices. They're habituated. They're comfortable and habituated, and that's the most important thing everyone needs to know. So I will be back in the tent this afternoon, folks, for another stint in there. We'll bring you some fascinating little tidbits as the drives go on, and I'm sure the guys out on walk and the trackers and Peter and James will bring you fantastic, wonderful encounters today around the reserves on the beautiful Arathusa and Djuma game reserves here in Sabi Sands. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you this morning. It really does make my heart sing when I get into the saddle and get out here and see these guys. So just a big thank you, and thanks again. We'll see you later on this afternoon.